If a woman tells you her problems, it doesn't always mean she wants a solution. In fact, in most cases, it means she wants to see something deeper. She wants to feel your presence, not your panic. She wants to gauge your emotional strength, not your emotional reaction. As a man, when you're faced with a woman's emotional storms, you're not supposed to be another piece of the chaos. You're supposed to be the anchor in the flood. But most modern men don't get this. They think when a woman starts talking about her emotional issues, it's an invitation to fix her. No, it's often a test of your masculine grounding, a test of your ability to remain still in the face of emotional waves. And that's where Stoicism comes in. The ancient Stoics didn't talk about dating or relationships the way we do now, but they understood human nature. They understood emotion, control, perception, and discipline. This philosophy is not just about sitting in silence or being unbothered. It's about understanding what deserves your reaction and what doesn't. It's about knowing how to respond from strength instead of reacting from fear. And in relationships, that strength is everything. You see, when a woman vents to you, she doesn't always need your advice. What she's looking for is your emotional solidity. She's trying to see if you can hold space without becoming weak. Because if you crumble every time she unloads, how will she trust you with life, with children, with decisions? This video is for the man who wants to build himself into that unshakable force, the one who isn't tossed around by feelings, the one who listens without losing himself, the one who understands she is not looking. Faux affix, she is looking for your frame, that masculinity is not about control over others, but control over self. In the next 7 parts, I'll break down what you need to understand about a woman's emotional nature, how to respond like a Stoic, and how to build personal power that makes you irresistible, immovable, and respected. But before we dive into it, hit that subscribe button. If you're tired of fake dating advice, empty promises, and soft talk, this is the channel you've been searching for. We deal with hard truths here. We sharpen men here. Now open your mind because the truth is coming. 1, she's not looking for a fix. She's looking for your frame. Most men fall into the same trap when a woman starts talking about her problems. They start fixing. She says, "My friend betrayed me." And he responds with, "Maybe you should stop talking to her." She says, "I feel so overwhelmed." And he says, "You need to take a break or rest more." Sounds helpful, right? Logical. But she's not looking for logic. She's looking for presence, a man's frame, your grounded masculine energy, the ability to sit with her chaos and remain untouched by it. This doesn't mean you ignore her. It doesn't mean you're emotionally absent. It means you're emotionally disciplined. She's not testing your IQ. She's testing your EQ, your emotional quality, your internal steadiness. Think of Marcus Aurelius. The man was emperor of Rome, ruling over an empire, constantly at war, plagued by disease, betrayal, and death. And yet, in his personal writings, his meditations, you never see him panicking. You never see him emotionally vomiting into the world. He was surrounded by storms, but his core was calm. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That quote alone could save most modern men from emotional collapse. Because when your woman comes to you with her inner storm, you are the outside event, and how you respond determines whether she feels safe or suffocated. You don't need to become a therapist. You need to become a rock. She's not coming to you for solutions. She's coming to you because she's drowning in emotion. And she wants to know if you'll sink with her or stand strong. That's why women can lose respect for men who are too eager to fix everything. When you jump into solution mode, you're making her feel like she's a problem to be solved, not a person to be understood. That's where most relationships begin to die, not because of cheating, not because of lies, but because the man becomes emotionally reactive instead of emotionally reliable. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When a woman speaks her problems, your reaction is the test. Do you flinch? Do you over-explain? Do you try to make her feel better just so you feel more comfortable? Because if so, she senses it. And the moment she senses that your strength is just a mask, that you're soothing her to avoid discomfort, her trust in you starts to die. So what do you do instead? You listen, you observe, you breathe, you let her speak without interrupting her flow. You say, I hear you. You don't rush to end the moment. You let her emotion be what the strength to listen. Without losing yourself, it is without trying to bend it. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. It shows you're not controlled by the need to control. And here's the kicker. When you stop trying to fix her emotions, they resolve faster because she feels safe. She feels seen. And she feels something rare in the modern world. A man who can hold a storm without being swept away by it. That's your job. That's the masculine role. Not to patch every hole in her boat, but to be the lighthouse in her storm. She may not say it out loud. She may not even understand it fully. But when you respond with grounded presence instead of needy fixing, you gain a different level of respect. She'll walk away feeling closer to you, not because you solved her issues, but because you proved you're the man who doesn't flinch when life hits hard. And in a world full of weak men who fold under pressure, that alone sets you apart. Two, the strength to listen without losing yourself. A woman will often open up to you when she's in emotional turmoil. But what she really wants, what she's testing, is your ability to hear her without becoming her. Let that sink in. She's not looking for a sponge to absorb her pain. She's not looking for a mirror to reflect her chaos. She's looking for a wall. Not cold, not distant, just solid. Something she can lean on, something that won't collapse when leaned against. But most men today don't understand this. They confuse empathy with over-involvement. They confuse connection with emotional entanglement. And slowly they stop being men and start becoming emotional crutches. That's when respect disappears. That's when attraction fades. That's when she starts looking elsewhere for strength, even if she doesn't consciously realize it. When you listen to a woman, don't lose your center. Don't get pulled into her emotional frame, because women are emotional creatures by design. They move through their world emotionally. Their emotional reality changes by the hour. But your job as a man isn't to follow that. It's to remain grounded so she has something stable to return to. Seneca said, we suffer more often in emotional control as masculine power imagination than in reality. That's what happens when men over-identify with a woman's pain. You start living in her emotional story. You start imagining pain that isn't yours. You start reacting to her mood as if it's your job to fix it or feel it. And you begin to abandon yourself in the name of being there for her. That's not stoicism. That's weakness dressed as compassion. True stoicism is the ability to be fully present, to hear everything she's saying, to understand it, to empathize, but not to drown in it. That's what separates the grounded man from the emotional boy. One reacts, the other reflects. One absorbs her chaos, the other contains it. You must learn to build a shield around your mind when she's unloading emotionally. Not because her emotions are wrong, not because she's bad, but because it's your responsibility to protect your internal peace. You're no good to her if you lose yourself trying to save her. Picture a storm in the sea. She is the ocean, unpredictable, wild, sometimes peaceful, sometimes thrashing. You are the mountain rising out of that sea, still rooted, unmoved. When she crashes against you emotionally, she's not looking for the mountain to collapse. She's testing its stop seeking validation. She's testing your inner value strength. She wants to know, are you still standing? Are you still sure of yourself? Are you emotionally secure enough to hear everything without breaking? Most men can't do this. They either shut down emotionally, thinking stoicism means silence, or they overcompensate by trying to rescue her, fix her, or agree with everything she says just to avoid conflict. Both are weak. The real strength is in being fully open, fully present, and still completely rooted in who you are. When you master this, women respond differently. They stop yelling, they soften. They feel heard, not managed. They feel safe, not smothered. And they begin to trust you, not just with their stories, but with their respect, their admiration, their surrender. Because only a man who hasn't lost himself can lead a woman anywhere. The moment she senses you're just emotionally reacting to her, she sees you as equal to her storms, not stronger than them. You don't need to have all the answers, you just need to be unshaken. That alone makes you a rare breed of man, the kind she respects, the kind she craves, the kind who can walk through fire and remain cool. And in today's world of emotional instability, that type of man is not just attractive, he's necessary. 3. Emotional control is masculine power. Let's be real. In relationships, a man's greatest asset is not his looks, not his money, not even his charm. It's his emotional control. That's the foundation. That's the difference between being just another guy she dates and being the man she respects for life. Women instinctively know this. That's why they talk to you about their problems. Not to dump emotional garbage, not to ruin your day, but to see what you're made of. She's asking you without words, can you handle this? And the way you respond reveals everything about your masculinity. When she's venting, she doesn't need you to panic. She doesn't need you to get frustrated, start yelling, or shut down like a weak man. She needs to feel that no matter what's happening around you, you're calm, you're present, you're still in control of yourself. That's real power. Not force, not aggression, but control over your own emotions. Because if you can't master your emotions, someone else will always be able to control you, especially a woman who's emotionally intense. And if she can control your emotions, you're no longer the man in the relationship. You've become the follower. Marcus Aurelius said, "You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. And no one can keep you from this." What he meant was simple. Your peace is your responsibility. No one can take it unless you give it away. In the same way, your woman's emotional storm only has power over you if you allow it. But once you become emotionally disciplined, she can throw anything at you and it won't break your center. That's what separates leaders from followers. And in a relationship, even if she never says it, she wants to follow your lead. She wants to know you're not ruled by moods or feelings. She wants to see that when things get messy, you become sharper, not softer. Her emotions are not your responsibility. Your response is now, let's talk practically. What does emotional control look like in a heated moment? It looks like pausing before you speak. It looks like breathing deeply instead of reacting instantly. It looks like maintaining eye contact without flinching, without getting defensive. When she's upset and you remain cool, not detached, but composed, something primal shifts inside her. Her emotions may still be intense, but her respect for you grows because she knows you can handle her. You can handle life. You can handle pressure. That's the man she trusts. On the other hand, when you lose emotional control, when you raise your voice, say things out of anger, or try to overpower her emotionally, you lose ground. She may fear you, but she won't trust you. She may submit in the moment, but deep down she knows you're not stable. And that instability will eat away at her attraction for you day by day. That's the reality most modern men ignore. They think being a man is about dominance, but it's not. It's about discipline. Power without control is chaos, and chaos is feminine, not masculine. You don't need to be a robot. You're allowed to feel. You're human, but your feelings are yours to manage, not hers to soothe. That's the difference. That's Stoicism. And if you want to be the man she never forgets, the one she trusts, respects, and leans on when her world is crumbling, you need to start with this. Master your emotional state. Because a man who can't control his own emotions will never be able to lead a woman anywhere worth going. 4. Stop seeking validation. She's testing your inner value. One of the greatest mistakes men make when a woman opens up to them is thinking they need to perform emotionally to earn her love. They try to be the guy who always says the right thing, agrees with her feelings, mirrors her emotional tone, and becomes a therapist in the hope that she'll see them as supportive. But here's the harsh truth. Most of the time, when a woman opens up about her problems, she's not looking for validation, and she's definitely not looking to give you validation. She's trying to see if you already have inner value. She's trying to see if you'll fold or if you'll remain grounded. That's the secret no one tells you. The more emotionally performative you are, the less she respects you. The more you need her emotional approval, the less powerful you appear. And it's not because she's cruel, it's because women aren't attracted to men who beg for emotional recognition. They're attracted to men who already have emotional certainty. Men who don't need to be told, you're right. Men who don't need to hear thank you for listening. Men who listen because it's who they are, not because they're trying to earn something from it. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What does that mean in a relationship context? It means you need to stop chasing her emotional approval. You might say the wrong thing. You might not understand everything she feels. You might even be accused of not caring. But if you stay grounded, calm, and centered, hold the line without the need to be validated, you're showing her something rare. A man who isn't ruled by what she thinks in the moment. That makes you dangerous in the best way. That makes you powerful because now you're not performing, you're standing. And in today's world of approval hungry men, a man who doesn't flinch when he's misunderstood is magnetic. When she comes to you in chaos and you don't jump to fix it, she may call you cold. When you don't beg to be seen as the good guy, she may call you distant. But deep down, she feels something real. She feels that you're not bending just to please her. You're holding your frame. And nothing is more attractive than a man who knows his value without needing to prove it. That's how Stoic men lived. They didn't chase validation. They didn't perform for the crowd. They knew their principles. They knew who they were. Marcus Aurelius didn't need the people of Rome to clap for him. He said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Let that hit. As a man, you lose yourself when her opinion matters more than your self-respect. You kill your masculine energy when you place her emotional reactions above your personal integrity. And the irony, the moment you stop chasing her emotional approval is the moment she begins to respect you more because she can't push you around. She can't manipulate your behavior with her moods. She sees you can stand alone. That's the energy women crave but rarely find. So next time she brings her problems to you, don't overengage. Don't look for praise. Don't try to win the best listener award. Just be still, be present, say less, show more, and let her see that nothing she says can shake the core of who you are. That's real masculinity. That's stoicism in motion. That's what makes her stay. Not the man who says everything right, but the man who doesn't need to be right to stand strong. 5. Her emotions are not your responsibility. Your response is one of the fastest ways a man loses his masculinity in a relationship is by believing that he's responsible for how a woman feels. He starts trying to manage her emotions. He starts walking on eggshells. He becomes afraid of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, or triggering the wrong emotion. So instead of leading, he reacts. Instead of standing firm, he adjusts constantly. And over time, he becomes less of a man and more of a puppet. But here's the truth. Her emotions are hers. They're not yours to fix. They're not yours to carry. You can care without carrying. You can empathize without absorbing. And most importantly, you can remain grounded while she's in emotional chaos. That's your job. That's the masculine burden. Not to make her happy, but to remain steady, no matter how she feels. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by events, but by the views we take of them." A woman's emotions are not events. They are expressions of her internal world. Your job is not to interpret them as attacks or take them personally. Your job is to understand that emotions are transient. They pass, they move, they shift. If you make every emotional wave about you, you'll constantly live in fear of saying the wrong word or setting off the next storm. That's not power, that's slavery. Conclusion. When she says, "I'm feeling overwhelmed," it's not an invitation for you to become overwhelmed too. When she cries, it's not a demand for you to break down and cry with her. When she's angry, it's not your job to mirror her rage. Your job is to be the container, not the contents. You hold space. You listen without absorbing. You acknowledge without reacting. That's emotional discipline. And that's what separates a grounded man from an emotionally codependent one. Most women have never experienced this. Most women are used to men who either shut down emotionally or overcompensate and try to save them from their own feelings. Both extremes are weak. The Stoic man walks the middle path. He's emotionally available, but not emotionally controlled. He listens, but he doesn't jump. He hears, but he doesn't fix. He's still. And in that stillness, she finds safety because nothing she says makes him question who he is. That's the core of masculinity. When she sees that her emotions don't knock you off balance, she starts to trust you. And not just in the moment, long term. Because now you're not just a man she can vent to. You're a man she can rely on. A man who can hold the weight without crumbling. That's the kind of man who can lead a relationship. Not the man who needs reassurance or the man who tries to force calm by controlling her mood, but the man who remains calm because he's mastered himself. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And freedom in this context means emotional independence, the freedom to let others feel what they feel while you remain who you are. That's real masculine power. So, the next time she vents, don't shrink, don't fix, don't flinch, just listen, observe, hold the line, because her emotions are her storm to sail through. Your job isn't to jump in and drown with her. Your job is to stand on the shore, grounded, silent, solid, letting her know there's a place to rest when the storm passes. That's the man she respects. That's the man she stays with. That's the man she trusts when the world feels too heavy. Not the fixer, not the pleaser, but the steady presence who doesn't move when everything else does. If a woman tells you her problems, it doesn't mean she wants your solutions. It means she wants to feel your presence. She wants to feel your stability. She wants to know you can handle emotional weight without collapsing under it. That's not about being a therapist. That's not about being a good listener in the weak modern sense. That's about being a grounded man, calm, silent, steady, and clear. The kind of man who can be exposed to chaos and still walk away composed. That's the Stoic way. That's the masculine way. We've been lied to as men. We've been told to open up too much, to share every little feeling, to engage in emotional back and forth like women. And the result? Men have become soft, reactive, needy, unstable. Relationships are crumbling because men are no longer grounded. But you can't lead a woman. You can't protect her. And you can't be respected by her if you don't have control over yourself. When she speaks, don't fix. Feel her energy and stay rooted. When she's upset, don't fight. Breathe and observe. When she's emotional, don't react. Respond with stillness. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what earns her loyalty, respect, and trust. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be right. You don't need to perform. You just need to be solid. Because once she knows nothing can shake you, she will see you as the man above all men. Marcus, Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they weren't perfect, but they were clear on one thing. External chaos is never stronger than internal mastery.